Hey, Chuck Kyle here, and today I'm going to show you how to find a good contractor in 10 minutes or less. Now, usually I talk about the other side of the coin. I'm usually teaching contractors and construction companies how to get found online, but today I'm going to be talking about how homeowners can use the internet to find contractors. So literally the other side of this equation here. And so I'm going to show you how to find a good contractor in 10 minutes or less. And the moral of the story is don't outsource your due diligence. So I've been remodeling homes and marketing for construction companies for many years now. And I've seen it all. I've been the contractor who's being hired, I've been the homeowner hiring the contractor, and I've been the marketer who's responsible for connecting these two together. And I hear horror stories all the time about homeowners dealing with really bad contractors. And the difference between a good and a bad contractor can mean the difference between tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional costs for your project. It can mean months or even years of delays and headaches. Seriously, I've come across projects that had been delayed for over 2 years before, and the homeowners are just sitting there wondering, like, when is this person going to come back and finish this job? And it can also mean the difference between a finished product that you hate versus walking into a space that just makes you super happy every time you walk into it. So it's really important to find a good contractor and avoid the bad ones. And there's companies popping up all the time. Some of them have been around for decades. Some of them are here and gone in a week. And these companies promise to allow you to outsource your due diligence. We'll find a contractor for you. All you need to do is sit back and relax. And they have taglines like, oh, compare multiple quotes in minutes, and ridiculously reliable reviews. And they sell the dream, but there are many people, some people like them, sometimes it works out, but there's a lot of people who have a horrible experience hiring a contractor from one of these services and it just not working out. So this woman here, Karen, she used Angie Leads to find a local contractor, and she needed this person to come to her house and install a new gas range that was to be delivered. And she had some kind of weird stipulation with her range that it needed to be installed within 48 hours of receiving it, or the warranty was voided. Now, I've never heard of that, but that's just how her story goes. And she thought it was really cool that Angie Leads went ahead and set up the appointment for her. Like, she didn't have to do anything. She just filled out the form and boom, everything was taken care of. She thought that was so awesome. And the appointment was set for Saturday morning at 9 a.m. When the time came for the installation, nobody showed up. She tried calling, nobody answered. Angie Leads was sending her text confirmations the day before saying that everything was good, but apparently the contractor was not on the same page. Upon doing further research, or some might say due diligence, she discovered that this company is not even open on weekends. She contacted Angie Leads, and they offered to send her the names of other companies for her to contact, but she no longer trusted their information. In the end, she did what she should have done in the first place and just called around to some local places until she found someone to come help her. So don't do what Karen did. Here are 3 tips for doing your own due diligence and finding a good contractor the first time, so you don't have to go through nonsense like this. In the rest of this video, I'm just going to explain 3 things, and at the end, I'll do a little demonstration. So I'm going to show you where to look, what to look for, and then how to choose a good contractor from what you find. And just a note is that this little video is just a starting point. Like, use your common sense, think through what you're doing, and you'll know what questions to ask. And if you don't, never be afraid to ask. Contractors are here to help you navigate this thing, and a good one will explain the process in a way that you can understand. And so just never be afraid to ask questions. All right, so starting with where to look, just Google it. There's places in the world where over 95% of the online searches are on Google. Google's known to be the best search engine around. That's why the term searching online for something is Google is ubiquitous with searching online. So type in what you want on the search bar. In this woman's case, she was probably looking for a plumber, so she could have typed in plumber near me, plumber in her city, someone looking up for a remodeling contractor, you just type in remodeling contractor near me, general contractor in my city, kitchen remodeler in my area, any of those things. And if you're not exactly sure what to type in, just type something in that you think is close, and Google will help you figure it out. They'll give you tons of suggestions, and it won't take you more than a couple searches to find exactly what you're looking for. And just a note is I usually skip ads and go straight to Google Maps. I'll show you why here in a minute. But that's how you can avoid the companies that aren't actual contractors and they're just trying to collect your contact information and sell it to contractors, like what happened to Karen up here. Okay. So once you type in the search and you'll find some options, again, I'm going to show you an example here in just a minute. What are you going to look for? So I always go straight to Google Maps and start looking at reviews. Reviews these days are like the equivalent of word of mouth, but they're even better because you can read unbiased reviews from a bunch of people and get a pretty clear idea of what this company is like to work with very quickly. And I'm looking for high stars, so 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm looking for the highest number of reviews. If a company only has 2 reviews, that's not going to give me a whole lot of information. But if a company has like 30 or 500, then I'm going to be able to read to my heart's content and figure out what the customers think about this company. And I always ask myself, do the reviews seem real? If there's only a handful of reviews and they all look the same, or they're super vague, or maybe even the owner of the business is leaving them, yes, I've seen that before, then it's not going to be as valid. Also, I look for, do they call the people out by name? Like, oh, Kevin was really awesome. He came to my house. He did the project really quick. He was great to work with. Or Sally in the office was always responsive. I'm looking for them to call people out by name because that's a clear sign that this was an actual interaction with that company. And then it's always fun to go and read the worst reviews. What are the worst reviews about? Often you'll find that the worst reviews are actually not even relevant to the project. Somebody had beef with someone else, and so they went and left a nasty review. And I always like to see how the company responds to these reviews. You get to see if they have tact or if they come out, swinging. So it's always fun to kind of see those. After I look at the reviews and I find a company that I think looks legit, I'll go to their website and just look around. And the first thing I'm looking for is, does it look professional? Now, if you're not a web designer, you might not know what a professional website looks like, but just use your judgment. Like, do you feel like this company's professional when you look at it? Do they have attention to detail? Does the design make sense? Are they clear about what they're saying? Do they have proper spelling, grammar, punctuation, all that kind of stuff? Is it up to date? Does it say it was updated in 2011 when you scroll down to the bottom? Or was it updated recently? Does it, if you're on a phone, does it actually look good on your phone? Stuff like that. Do they show pictures of their work? Like, hopefully if it's a remodeling company or something like that, they've got samples of their work for you to see. Super important, if you want to know that they can do projects like what you want. And then does it show pictures of the people behind the scenes? I want to see who I'm going to be calling, who I'm going to be working with. Is it a family business? Is it an empire with 500 employees? Like, what kind of company am I dealing with? And maybe I want to work with a really large company, or maybe I'd rather work with a family business. That's just my own personal taste. Okay, so once I've looked through everything and I've vetted them and everything seems good, how do I choose this? Because I'm going to go through this process with multiple people most of the time. I'm not just going to do this once. Doing due diligence means considering your options and finding the best option. So one thing that I like to do is fill out their contact form and then call them afterwards. And I'm testing their responsiveness. I want to see, when I call, who answers the phone? How do they answer? Are they polite? Do they answer right away? Do they not answer and call me back? Do they not answer and their voicemail is full? I can get little clues about what this company or this person is like to deal with just from this interaction. Do they sound like they know what they're talking about? Like, when I ask them what's the process for doing this, do they have a good answer, or are they just, can you tell that they're making it up as they go? And then for the contact form, how long does it take for them to respond to me? If it takes them 2 or 3 days to respond, that's a sign. Maybe they're really busy. Maybe they're not great at getting back. And then do they notice that they already talked to me? So if I filled out the form and then called them, some people might call me back and think I'm another customer, or some people might notice that they already talked to me. Like, what do they do? It's just an interesting thing to do. I don't know anyone else that does that, but I do that just because I'm trying to figure out what this company is like before I hire them. That's one of the core principles. Okay, so let's just go through this really quick. So, I'm looking for a remodeling contractor near me. And let me make sure that you can see what I can see. Okay, so remodeling contractor near me, typed it into Google. And right here at the top of the page, we've got 2 ads. We've got Angie and we've got Networks. Neither one of these are a remodeling contractor. Both of these are companies that take my contact information and sell it to contractors. So I like to avoid these. I'm also the kind of person that I usually avoid ads anyways, because I know Google as the search engine that's really good at showing me what I'm looking for. I know that ads, it's like whoever's paying for these ads is asserting themselves into my search. So they might be a legit company, or they might be the most unprofessional company on the planet. It doesn't matter. They can pay Google and show up right here at the top. So I see the word ad up here and I just skip that. I think roughly 40% of people are like that. Some people prefer to click on ads. I don't. I go straight down here to Google Maps and my eyeballs gravitate towards the reviews right here. And I'm looking for 5 out of 5 or high. 4.9 is pretty dang close to 5. And I'm looking for a high number of reviews. So the top one's got 12, the middle one has 42, and the bottom one has 7. So of these 3 choices, this bottom one's kind of discounted just because they only have 4 stars and there's 7 reviews. These 2 have higher stars and a lot more reviews. And this one, Creekside Construction, has the highest reviews here. Now, I'm not affiliated with Creekside Construction. This one at the top is actually my family's remodeling company, but objectively, this one in the middle would catch my eye first. So what I do is I would click on their name, and that's going to open up their profile so that I can go in and read some of their reviews. And I'm going to read, let's see, I'm going to click reviews here because I want to see a bunch of them. And I'm going to go through and just read some of these. Dave and Steve at Creekside. Okay, there they are calling out by name. That's awesome. Derek calling out by name. I like that. These are all really good reviews. Oh, here's a bad one. Let's look at that. I read this beforehand, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But what's said in here is less important as what they said in response. We'd like to clarify that we did not have a contract with you. And in a really nice way, he's telling this guy, like, you're not the kind of person that we want to work with because you're, you just seem like a trouble client and we don't want to work with you. And they did it in a really nice way. And this guy was just complaining about it. So that's like the only bad review they have. And that's why they have a 4.9 out of 5. So I wouldn't really consider that a negative. That might even be a positive because of the way that they responded. So I looked at a few of these reviews. Okay, they seem legit, like they passed that test. Now I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on their website and just take a look at that. And let's see if I can make this fit on the screen. Okay, so it seems professional to me. That little thing moves around when I move my mouse. That's kind of tricky. But more importantly, these pictures are beautiful. And if I wanted a really nice remodel like this and I was looking at pictures like this, I'd be thinking, okay, these guys seem pretty cool. Okay, awesome. Here's a picture of the crew. They're in front of their trucks. They're looking professional. They're all smiling. They seem like they're proud to be there. Like, these guys are really checking out. And so here's some more testimonials. I might look at some of their remodel galleries, look for pictures of stuff that that's similar to what I want. I might read some bios or whatever, maybe even Facebook stalk some of these people just to know. Because if I'm going to spend $50,000, $100,000 or more on a remodel, I want to know the people that I'm thinking about hiring. And then, like I said, I'd fill out this contact form, and then I'd call their office and, see what they had to say. And once I did that, I would go through this entire process again. The next company I called or ran through this process might be NL Kyle Construction up top. I might even just click view all and see a whole bunch of other contractors and just scroll through, look for high amounts of 5-star reviews. This one has 16, this one has 19. So I'll just look through these and go through the same process. Do they have good reviews? Do they have a professional website and all that jazz? So at the end of the day, you choose how much due diligence to do. And I just ask, what is at stake here? Is this a $300 drain unclogging, or is this a $250,000 remodel? Or is this a $1 million home build? Obviously, the higher the stakes, the more due diligence you're going to want to do. And it's always okay to contact a few companies and just see what they have to say and, figure out what the process is and what kind of questions to ask and all that. Speaking of questions to ask, a few common ones that you can and should ask, what's their license number? You can go online and look up license numbers, just make sure that they're actually still licensed, that their license valid, all of that kind of stuff. Some contractors lose their license because of stuff that happens, so you'll want to know that. If they're not licensed, then they're probably not going to be insured and bonded, and so your project's going to be at risk. You can ask for proof of insurance and a bond. A bond is like an extra insurance that's controlled by the state rather than a private company. If I wanted like a bathroom remodel or something, I would ask, do you do this kind of project often? Maybe I'd be on their website already and I'd see pictures of that. I just want to make sure that this company actually does what I'm thinking about hiring them to do, and that it's not something that they've never done before. And I also would ask, how soon can you do this? If you have 2 months before you need this done, you're going to want to know right off the bat, do they have an opening, or am I going to have to wait 6 months to get started? Everybody that I know is really busy right now, so it's not common for projects to be booked out 6 months, even a year or more in advance. And remember that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to ask them for guidance. A good contractor, they'll know the process inside and out, and they'll be able to help guide you in making a good decision. And if you talk to 2 or 3 contractors and go through this question asking process with them, you're going to start to become an expert on, what you're doing, and you're going to be able to get it done really well. And the cool part about this process, you go through this, if you do it well and you find an awesome contractor and you work with them and it's seamless and everything goes well, you can have that contractor for life. At my family's remodeling company, we have clients who've been calling us back for over 20 years, who've been referring us other customers. And so you as the homeowner, if you find a good one, save their number, and they can you won't ever have to go through this process again. You won't be able to avoid 100% of the problems, but you can avoid almost all of them. So it's definitely worth going through this. You can try outsourcing it, but at the end of the day, nobody really cares about your project as much as you do. So I think you can do this whole process in 10 minutes. It's not really worth trying to go through some service that promises to do this for you. Remember that contractors have a really tough job. They're always waiting in traffic, waiting in line at the store, waiting for a customer to let them in, let them in, waiting for another contractor to show up. It's a really tough job with a lot of moving pieces. And so it's always good to cut them some slack sometimes. You can hold them to what they say, but also just realize that they have a really tough job to do, and it can be really difficult to keep everything flowing perfectly all the time. Like I said, when you find a good one, you can use them over and over again. So I hope that this video has helped you see that you do not have to outsource your due diligence. Just go to Google, type in what you're looking for, read some reviews, look at their websites, and contact a few contractors and have a conversation with them. Take notes the whole time, and you'll have no problem finding a contractor that will be able to help you out. If you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button, like it. If you have any questions about this topic, leave your questions in the comment section, and I'll see you on the next one.